mocked me. My father said I was chasing fantasies. My brother laughed at my late nights of coding, and my sister told the world I was wasting my life. But when I finally created something that could change the future, they didn't laugh anymore. They stole it. They broke into my home, took my research, and tried to sell my invention for just $5 million. My life's work, reduced to scraps. They thought I was weak, that I would give up, disappear, and live in their shadow forever. But betrayal doesn't destroy you, it fuels you. And while they celebrated their little victory, I rebuilt everything from the ground up, alone. Today, the very project they tried to steal is licensed for over $6.8 billion, powering industries across the world. And my family, the same people who tried to bury me, they are nothing but a footnote in the story of my empire. This is how Olivia Rhodes rose from betrayal to build a legacy they could never control. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments. The Rhodes estate sat on the edge of a quiet suburb in Boston, a sprawling house with wide glass windows and polished marble floors that reflected every ounce of the family's wealth. From the outside, it was the picture of success, a family bound by fortune and power. But inside, it was a cage. Olivia Rhodes had grown up there, the youngest of 3 children, never quite belonging. Her father, Charles Rhodes, was a stern man, a corporate magnate who believed money was the measure of a person's worth. Her brother Ryan followed closely in his father's footsteps, entitled, arrogant, obsessed with deals and profits. Her sister Chloe was the socialite, a woman who lived for champagne dinners, glossy magazines, and the endless pursuit of being seen. And then there was Olivia. At 27, Olivia was nothing like the rest of them. While Ryan boasted about investments, and Chloe curated her Instagram-perfect life, Olivia spent sleepless nights buried in code, physics papers, and notebooks filled with equations only she could understand. She wasn't interested in champagne or stock markets. She was interested in the impossible, quantum computing. Her friends from MIT remembered her as the girl who would skip parties to scribble algorithms on napkins at midnight cafes. Professors admired her brilliance but worried about her intensity. She wasn't just trying to contribute to the field, she was trying to reinvent it. And by the time she turned 27, she had done exactly that. It began in a cramped apartment away from the Rhodes estate. Olivia had refused her father's money after graduation. She didn't want strings attached, didn't want every success reduced to daddy funded it. So she lived small, bare walls, a sagging mattress, ramen noodles for weeks on end. But in that quiet, she built something extraordinary. She called it Aurora, a quantum architecture designed not just to process information, but to learn and adapt faster than anything in existence. Where traditional computers drowned in the complexity of molecular structures, financial systems, or global logistics, Aurora thrived. The first time Olivia watched Aurora predict the folding of a protein chain in seconds, a task that had taken other systems months, she cried. It wasn't just code anymore. It was the future, and she had done it alone. But secrets don't stay hidden forever, especially in a family like the Rhodes. Charles had always dismissed Olivia's work as hobbyist nonsense. He had called her a dreamer, said she was wasting her youth. Ryan and Chloe echoed the insults, sometimes joking at dinner about how their little sister was still playing scientist. But one evening, everything changed. Olivia had been away, meeting quietly with a professor who had connections in Silicon Valley. She returned to her apartment to find the door unlocked. Panic surged through her chest as she stepped inside. The place had been searched, not trashed, but methodically rifled through. Her hard drives were gone. She knew instantly who had done it. Within hours, she confirmed her fear. Ryan had boasted at the country club about finally having something big in the works. Chloe had been overheard talking about a multi-million-dollar opportunity. Her family had stolen Aurora. That weekend, Olivia confronted them in the Rhodes estate's glittering dining room. Her father sat at the head of the long mahogany table, swirling his glass of scotch as Ryan leaned back in his chair, smirking. Chloe scrolled idly on her phone, barely looking up. "You went into my apartment." Olivia's voice trembled, but not with fear, with rage. "You stole my research. Ryan chuckled. Stole? Oh, come on, Liv. You're acting like a child. You left it unprotected. We're just handling it better than you could. It's mine, Olivia snapped. Years of my work. Work funded by this family, Charles interrupted sharply. His eyes were cold, calculating. The food you ate, the roof over your head during school, the road's name that gave you credibility. Don't talk to me about ownership. Olivia's chest burned. You had no part in Aurora, none. Chloe finally looked up, her tone mocking. Relax, Olivia. You'll thank us when the deal closes. Daddy already has a buyer lined up. $5 million just like that. $5 million? Olivia's heart stopped. Aurora wasn't worth millions, it was worth billions. More than money, it was revolutionary. Her father leaned forward. Don't be naive. No one is paying billions for your little science project. $5 million is generous, more than you'd ever see on your own. Ryan smirked. Face it, Liv. You're not built for business. You build toys. We sell them. That's how it works. Olivia stood there, frozen between fury and despair, as the people who were supposed to protect her reduced her life's work to pocket change. The deal went through quickly. Too quickly. Her family had connections, lawyers, negotiators. Within weeks, Aurora had been licensed out, on paper, not to Olivia Rhodes, but to Rhodes Enterprises. When Olivia tried to fight it, her father's lawyers crushed her attempts. You developed it while still supported by the Rhodes household, they argued. By default, it belongs to the family trust. She was erased. Aurora was presented to investors as a Rhodes family innovation, Charles standing proudly beside his son Ryan, as though they had engineered the code themselves. Chloe handled the PR, glowing in interviews about the family's visionary leap into the future. And Olivia? She was shut out, no credit, no mention, no piece of the deal, just betrayal. Her father gave her one final warning before casting her out. Consider this a lesson, Olivia. In this world, genius means nothing without power, and in this family, power belongs to me. For weeks, Olivia vanished. She shut her phone off, avoided friends, ignored emails. Her apartment felt like a graveyard. Every corner a reminder of what she had built and lost. Some nights she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, asking herself if they were right. If maybe she was naive, maybe brilliance without business sense was worthless. But then she would open her laptop, scroll through the fragments of code they hadn't stolen, and remember. Aurora wasn't complete when they took it. The version they sold was powerful, but broken. The real Aurora, the full Aurora, still lived in Olivia's mind, and if she rebuilt it, smarter, faster, untouchable, then one day the world would know the truth. One day, the Rhodes name would crumble and hers would rise. It began quietly. Olivia rented a tiny workspace in a forgotten corner of Boston, using savings she had scraped together from tutoring and freelance coding. She avoided big investors. Her family's shadow stretched too far. Instead, she worked alone. Long nights fueled by black coffee and fury. Every keystroke was revenge. Every equation, a declaration. The betrayal hadn't destroyed her. It had transformed her. And though the Rhodes family thought they had silenced her forever, Olivia Rhodes was only just beginning. Boston winters had a way of reminding Olivia Rhodes of her isolation. The cold seeped through the cracks of her rented workspace, frosting the windows while she typed deep into the night. Yet within those walls, something powerful was being born. Aurora wasn't gone. It was evolving. For months, Olivia worked alone. She lived off cheap takeout, sometimes sleeping on the floor of her office when exhaustion overpowered her. The old Olivia, the one who begged for her family's recognition, was gone. This new Olivia was sharper, colder, and relentless. She rewrote entire sections of Aurora's code, correcting flaws her family didn't even realize existed. Their stolen version could impress investors but would never scale beyond simple models. Olivia's Aurora, by contrast, became capable of processing simulations that could change medicine, finance, even climate science. Every night, she imagined her father's face if he knew what she was building. Every keystroke whispered the same promise. They will regret this. It was in that cold little office that Olivia met Dr. Samuel Carter, a venture capitalist with a background in theoretical physics. Unlike the sharks who usually circled startups, Carter saw what Aurora truly was. "You're not just building software," he said during their first meeting, his voice tinged with awe. "You're rewriting the future of computation." Olivia hesitated. Trusting anyone felt dangerous, but Carter wasn't like the others. He didn't push for immediate control or quick profits. Instead, he offered something rare: patience, resources, and a shield from the Rhodes family's influence. Together, they formed Aurora Systems, Inc. With Carter handling business negotiations, Olivia could focus solely on development. Slowly, word spread through tech circles. A mysterious startup in Boston was solving problems the biggest corporations couldn't crack. The turning point came with a partnership proposal from Genex Pharma, a medical research company drowning in unsolvable protein-folding models. Their chief scientist flew to Boston expecting disappointment, but within hours of plugging their data into Aurora, the results stunned him. What had taken Genex's supercomputers 9 months to compute, Aurora finished in 46 minutes. The scientist sat in silence, his mouth dry. Then he whispered, "Do you understand what this means?" Olivia did. It meant validation. It meant credibility. It meant the world would finally see what Aurora could do. And by extension, what she could do. Within weeks, contracts worth hundreds of millions poured in. Aurora wasn't just another tech startup anymore. It was the future. Meanwhile, the Rhodes family watched from their glass tower. At first, they dismissed the rumors. Ryan mocked the mystery competitor as a knockoff. Charles scoffed, saying, "Whoever they are, we'll crush them in negotiations." Chloe barely noticed, absorbed in her social whirl. But then came the headlines. Aurora Systems secures $400 million licensing deal with Genex Pharma. Boston startup solves decade-old research problems overnight. And finally, the gut punch. CEO Olivia Rhodes, the woman behind Aurora. The name they had buried, the sister they had erased, was suddenly everywhere. On magazine covers, in keynote speeches, in investor portfolios. Ryan raged. Chloe panicked about her reputation. And Charles, for the first time, looked afraid. The Rhodes weren't ready to admit defeat. Instead, they doubled down. First came the lawsuit. They claimed Aurora still belonged to Rhodes Enterprises, that Olivia had stolen it back. Olivia stood in court, her hands trembling as lawyers hurled accusations at her. But this time, she wasn't alone. Carter's legal team dismantled the case piece by piece. Olivia had records, timestamps, and revisions proving Aurora's stolen version was incomplete, and that the true breakthroughs happened under her leadership, after she left the Rhodes household. The judge dismissed the case. Next came the smear campaign. Articles appeared questioning Olivia's leadership, painting her as unstable, even ungrateful. Chloe gave thinly veiled interviews about family betrayal and mental health struggles. But the public didn't buy it. If anything, sympathy for Olivia grew. She became a symbol of resilience, the woman who rose despite being robbed by her own blood. 3 years after her exile, Olivia walked onto a stage in San Francisco for Aurora's global unveiling. The audience buzzed with anticipation. Scientists, investors, media, all waiting to witness history. She stood tall in a black suit, her voice steady as she presented Aurora's latest feat. Real-time modeling of global supply chains under crisis conditions. When the demo concluded, the crowd erupted in applause. That night, Aurora Systems announced a $4.2 billion licensing deal with international governments and corporations. Olivia Rhodes was no longer just a scientist. She was a titan. The Rhodes family couldn't ignore her anymore. When Olivia was invited to the World Tech Gala in New York, so were they. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and sequined gowns, but the air crackled with tension. Across the room, Olivia saw them. Her father's rigid posture, Ryan's clenched jaw, Chloe's forced smile. They approached, masks of civility barely hiding their desperation. "Olivia," Charles began, his voice smooth. "We've misjudged things. The family should reunite. Imagine what we could achieve together." Olivia looked at him, then at Ryan and Chloe. For years, their voices had haunted her, belittled her, betrayed her. Now they stood before her begging. She smiled faintly. I already imagined it, and I built it without you. Gasps rippled around the table. Cameras clicked. Investors whispered. The road's name, once untouchable, crumbled under the weight of that single moment. In the months that followed, their downfall accelerated. Ryan's reckless investments collapsed without access to Aurora. Chloe's reputation as a PR queen shattered after leaked emails revealed her role in the smear campaign, and Charles, the mighty patriarch, watched as Rhodes Enterprises bled value, abandoned by partners who now courted Aurora Systems instead. Meanwhile, Olivia thrived. She expanded globally, employing thousands, funding research, and reshaping industries. Yet despite her triumph, she never forgot the nights of despair, the humiliation, the sting of betrayal. Those scars became her strength. One quiet evening, Olivia stood in her office overlooking the Boston skyline. The city lights shimmered, reflecting against the glass walls of Aurora's headquarters. She thought of her father's words. In this family, power belongs to me, she whispered to herself, almost smiling. Not anymore. Aurora pulsed on the screens around her. Alive, evolving, unstoppable. Just like her. And the road's name? It was no longer a throne. It was a cautionary tale. If you liked my story, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with as many people as possible. Thanks for watching.